Gents, I just want to pause the episode for a moment to let you know about the Strong Men of Value Academy. You will have heard me refer to it a number of times, and I want to bring more attention to it. So this isn't just a program, it's a life-changing environment and community of men who are focused on personal and professional growth. We're looking at areas of relationships, wealth, and health, things to help you thrive and maximize your life. Imagine having bi-monthly one-on-one coaching sessions with myself, weekly group coaching calls, and an incredible brotherhood of high achievers by your side. Now we're diving into resilience, leadership, and holistic growth to not just succeed in your career, but to thrive in your health and your relationships. Your journey to greatness, it starts here. So join the movement and you can apply for the Strong Men of Value Academy. You can head to themanthatcanproject.com to find out more.
You're listening to The Man That Can Project with Lockie Stewart, a global movement created to empower men and open up what's really going through their minds by having real and raw conversations about life's unique challenges and our individual ways of processing it all. Welcome to The Man That Can Project.
I hope I know what you mean.
Welcome back, guys. You got Lockie from the Man That Can Project.
And Max from the Next Level Leader Project.
Oh, mate.
So many projects.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of projects happening. It's good to be back sitting next to you. We've actually been chatting for like 45 minutes probably.
Yeah.
Just about all kinds of things that have been going on. It's been fun. And as I think every time we catch up, it's like we should have recorded that because that would have been really cool. But what's been awesome, and we're going to talk about some cool stuff on this episode. But you know, I was watching your Instagram last week or about a week ago, while you were in down at your property, clearing the lantana, having a little fire, having a sunrise, and it looked amazing, mate. And that's what I'm envious. I want that. I think it's phenomenal. I'm very excited for that stage for you as it keeps starting to develop. But how you been going?
Man, I'm doing good. Yeah, like you said, property we've been sitting on for a little while now, slowly starting to clear that out. And if you had to ask me 4 years ago, 3 years ago, maybe even 2, and you had to ask me, where do you want to be living or what do you want to be doing? I never would have said buying a property, 2-acre property that I'd have to look after out of the city, away from where I feel like all the action's happening. I never would have answered that question that way. It would, but slowly but surely, especially over the last 8 years, I started to realise, just by trial and error, what's valuable and what adds value to my life. And the idea of quiet and silence so I can think, and removing a whole bunch of shit out of my life is actually a really strong value, because it gives me time to think and make better decisions and go deeper on those things that I otherwise would have dismissed, and filled that space with drugs or alcohol or doing some really dumb shit because that was my fulfillment.
Yep.
Now realizing more and more as I get older is that fulfillment comes from going deeper on the things that I really enjoy.
Yep.
And being ruthless about the things that don't serve me, which is what that property is starting to. It's kind of, that's the kicker for it. That's kind of the whole reason for it being there. And it's fucking awesome because, like I said, man, it's not a thing I would have said, that's the thing I want.
What do you reckon you would have said? What was it?
Fuck. Pre
this version of you.
Yeah, pre being a dick.
Fair play.
Well, yeah, it was. I would have been. It would have been to travel the world on my own, I think.
Really?
Yeah. Because I thought that the things that I have now, things like being married, long-term relationship, about to have a kid, owning a few properties and that sort of thing.
Is that out to the world that you're about to have a kid?
Yeah, it's legit.
Congratulations,
December
mate.
21st, watch this space.
Is it 21st?
Yeah.
Oh, mate, that's unreal.
Yeah, little boy. We even figured that bit out. That's not a secret either. So yeah.
What are the name? Can you share?
No,
name?
I can't do that.
Okay.
That's a secret.
That's
yeah,
a secret.
I'm not allowed to.
I'm
tell you
always
that.
curious whether someone slips up and they go, "Actually, don't say anything." I'm like, I got you on camera. Well, I'm excited for
No,
that.
the
mate.
last 2 times I've said some stuff that I'd never said before. see how I go this time.
Let's see how we go.
But yeah, having all those things, they're all the things, like the house, the marriage, the properties, the work that I'm doing, the kid, were all things I thought were gonna tie me down and restrict me. But it's
so
actually
true, bro. Because I have that. I'm probably in that mind frame a little bit at the minute.
dude, it's the complete opposite. Absolutely complete opposite, because of all those things. I was writing something yesterday for a program I'm coming out with, which was about, it's kind of my 8 pillars, which is about things like responsibility, playing at the level that you need to play at, and a whole bunch of different values that I hold dear to me. And the one thing that glues them all together is commitment. And the thing that I realised over the last few years, last 8 years or so, was the commitment. I didn't have commitment. And the best way I can explain it is that playing football for such a long period of time, and you could probably attest to this in playing union, is the fact that if you were to go in for a tackle, this is something that the older guys used to say when I was coming up into seniors from juniors, is that if you go in for a tackle, don't pull out. And essentially what they were saying is that if you go in for a tackle, you need to be all in on that tackle, or you're not in at all. Because if you go in half-assed, that's when you get hurt. Because you go in limp, you're not bracing yourself, you're not committing to the tackle. And that's if it's a 50-50 or if it's a 60-40 and you shouldn't win the ball. Those are the ones that you need to go in all or nothing. And that's what I realised I wasn't doing in my own life. Sitting on the fence, I was waiting for this other thing. I didn't put anything in play. I didn't have anything written in my calendar. I wasn't committed to the things I said I was committed to. And then all of a sudden, after one of these personal development courses I did, I realised that was the case. And within about a 4-year period, it was like we had 3 houses, getting married, kid, start a business, the whole thing.
I
like
can't
it all
wait
just
to see
fucking
Maxi Jr.
He's going to have some epic thighs,
mate.
It's going to be awesome.
Epic. I'm fucking so excited for that.
But yeah, man, it was just the commitment thing. And I know that sounds kind of cliche, but if you think it sounds cliche, then there's a good chance you yourself don't fully appreciate what commitment is to you yet. And I'd challenge you and have you consider that is actually a thing you need to go back on and actually filter through your life. It's like, have a look at your bank account, see where you spend your money, have a look at your calendar and see what's in there. If your bank account's full of fucking cafe trips and dinners and binge drinking and all that sort of thing, but you say you want a house and you haven't got the money for a deposit yet, it's like, man, it's black and white. The numbers aren't going to lie.
Where's your commitment at? 100%. I like it.
So yeah,
That's
but what was it about that though that triggered you when you saw the property? What was the value in that for you? What are you,
mate? To me, that's freedom. Because I really enjoy nature. I love it, and I love fire. I love, when I say that, I'm like, I want a dirt bike as well, because that's what I'm used to. And for me, it's the freedom. This sounds fucking very simple, but to just be able to walk outside and piss, right, without having to worry about your neighbours looking at you. It's frowned upon to do that here in Brisbane. But whenever I go back home, one of my favourite things to do, I don't go to the toilet for number one. I just walk out the front doors and look at nature and have a leak. And it's awesome.
Brilliant.
Like stuff like that, or to me, it's just like it's. I just feel completely at ease, and it's also knowing that if I want to do something, I can do it. If I want to set up a gym there, I've got the space to do it. If I want to get a motorbike, I can do that. If I want to have a bonfire, I can do that. Like the things that I really enjoy, like that don't cost money. Obviously those things do cost money, but to just hang out with some mates, have some beers and a barbecue or something, without having to fucking worry about being too noisy for your neighbours or having a fire. You're not allowed a fire here either. You can do. It's just freedom for me. So when I saw you doing that, I was like, mate, that's. We've spoken about this in the past. Like, I want to get a property, and I want to eventually have my own gym on it. Like, not a commercial gym, just a rig and something that I can stay fit, but also, run some retreats on, or just be able to disconnect and run away from what's going on in the world. Because there's a lot of stuff that I don't like getting involved in. I don't watch the news. I don't want to be in. Just putting my head in the sand essentially with some stuff and just get away from it all. And like you said, you get to think more. You get to
you just feel at ease. It slows the world down,
Mm.
and when you're seeing things from a slower point of view, you can make better decisions.
We get to see more.
Yeah.
Yeah. You let it sort of, yeah.
So that's what it was for me. But we were talking about before having some tough conversations. COVID's been a brilliant time to realize, or it's made a lot of people, myself included, probably yourself included, that there are some tough conversations to be had. And, it's highlighting areas, as you were saying before, Maxi, like, some people are realizing maybe their health's not up to scratch, maybe their finances are up to scratch, maybe, other areas of their life are falling behind the eight ball. And, previously in the past, we've been so busy that it's easy to just move on with it and avoid dealing with it. But now it's, whether it's with relationship, and we we're just talking about that with you, with your example, and I'd love to chat more about that, because it was awesome, and how you went about it. I think people could take a lot away from having those tough conversations, because in order for us to be in control of the outcomes and in control of our life, it's like, let's do it, let's fucking tango.
Yeah, it's easy to skirt around this shit. Like, we just kind of, it's the elephant in the room for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, it's your elephant in the room. That every time you walk into that room, it's like lying to yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, I know I need to go to the gym, but I keep hitting the snooze button. I'm just going to sleep that one off, and the elephant just kind of gets brushed into the corner. And then you get up again the next day, and motherfucker's there again.
He's getting bigger.
And he's not going anywhere, or it's not going anywhere until you have a conversation, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's with yourself or it's with someone else. And I believe, because I actually found the whole COVID thing far more confronting than I ever expected it to be.
So did I, man.
Like, it was really weird.
What was it like for you?
Well, it was amazing how comfortable I felt not having people around me. And I get energy from having people around me, but it made it harder to come back out when the restrictions got lifted. We're in Queensland, so we're not dealing with it like, say, Victoria is.
Yep.
Which is like that's where it's just going to fucking double down on people, and shit's going to really blow up. But we're fortunate enough that it has things have lifted, and like, you're back in the gym as far as training and coaching lads goes, which is awesome. But how comfortable I was not going to the gym anymore, and having that as a bit of an excuse. And I ate pretty well, which was good, so nothing really changed from that. But
yeah, well, as in healthily, or you were just feeding yourself a lot?
Well,
because there's probably a few guys going, I ate pretty well as well, you know what I mean?
I was in a good paddock. But yeah, it was how comfortable I was in that.
Yep.
And I didn't realise until I was right in it. I realised then, trying to reach back out to people, which is actually a strong suit of mine, that was actually hard. And I'm like, oh, hang on a second.
Yep.
If this is hard for me, and I actually see that as an actual, like, fucking superpower I have.
Yep.
Imagine the people who are introverted and don't find that easy. It's like, I got thrust into their shoes really quite quickly, and started to appreciate it on a different level.
Very interesting. And I was the flip side. I feed off being by myself, and I still struggled, because you realize, I love nothing more. Even tomorrow night, I get even the last 2 weeks, Amy's been out at dinners all the time, so I've had nights by myself. I fucking love it.
Oh, dude, don't get me wrong, I love it as well.
But with COVID, it's like you have the choice taken, or had it taken away from me. So I was like, for people who extroverts like yourself, I was like, man, you guys must be struggling, because I love downtime, and I'm struggling by not being able to catch up with people or have the freedom to move around and do those things. So it's interesting how it plays out for both, I guess, introverts and extroverts, and what the ripple effect is for that. And it definitely makes you appreciate just even the small things like that, going grabbing a coffee, or saying g'day to a mate at the gym, or all these small little interactions that aren't necessarily planned, but they're a byproduct of you doing something in your day. And that, from a byproduct, they're a part of your day as a result.
We understand.
Yeah. I hope you guys understand. But having all that taken away is like, wow. So I definitely feel for people all around the world, and definitely here in Australia, Melbourne, back in lockdown is crazy. But probably more back to where you're going with the food, and having those tough conversations with yourself and people that need to have it. I think I had the conversation just in the context of like what the fuck am I actually doing? Like, I'm so busy
Mm.
that I make myself anxious and stress out a lot, but I'm like, for what purpose?
Mhm.
Like, I sort of lost an idea of what I was actually trying to achieve and why I was trying to do it. So COVID was awesome, where I had to, you know, I'm not doing the online program anymore. I'm not doing this program, that program. It's like, that was a tough conversation to have for myself, because I wanted to be able to do everything.
Yeah.
And I'd just been avoiding that and running around being busy saying yes to everyone and everything, that I wasn't really, I was happy, but I was also, there was a part of me that was like, fuck this.
Yeah.
So I got to sit down and finally have those conversations, be like, right, dude, what are you going to let go of? It's time to let go
Mhm.
of some things. Or, start saying no, because that's not where your zone of genius is, or that's not what really excites you at this point in time.
Yeah.
So doing some things like that, and obviously in various other areas, but
No, it makes sense. Is that I think I feel like I have this, like, it's a pattern with you.
Yeah.
Is that, and this is really good insight too. This is the one thing I think that very few people have experienced in this way, and once you understand it, you can pull yourself out of it. But it comes from spending a lot of time with other people to show you constantly where you do that.
Yep.
So that you can start seeing it for yourself, and you don't need other people to call you on your shit anymore. You can you notice it when it's going that way. So you've got the perspective and the insight from many, many years of coaching and mentoring under people, having guys like Luke and whoever, and surrounding yourself with good people who can call you on that and say, hey, listen, you've gone too far down into the weeds. You need to bring yourself up onto the headland to kind of take scope and go, what's important at the moment. And I think that's a massive thing. But that's where a lot of people come unstuck, is because they think they're going in the right direction, and they think the only way to get out of what they're doing is to bunker down and go even harder, as opposed to, maybe actually, just pull the boat into the fucking next dock, go for a bit of a walk and stand up on the headland and just take scope of what the fucking coastline looks like before you go and pull the trigger and keep going, because you don't know what the fuck you're off to.
100%.
And that's the power of actually having someone to bounce, someone that you trust and understand that's an objective perspective.
Yeah.
Is super powerful, and I know I get stuck into it. I know these sitting here with you and having these conversations, especially the ones that we have beforehand.
Yeah,
they're
the
those
unrecorded ones that you guys miss out on.
Next time we'll just do the unrecorded one and record it.
Yeah.
We'll press play. We won't even fucking introduce us. We'll just go for it.
Here's sitting in the room like a fly on the wall.
That's it. So yeah, that perspective is huge, man.
What about for yourself? What was sort of some more things that came up for yourself?
It was interesting. I'm going to give you an example, which is still pretty raw, I suppose, about having those tough conversations. And it was one I had last night, and I did it in a way that I usually...
Fairly raw. It's not even 24 hours old.
Yeah. I've been thinking about it. Like, it was weird, is that there's a lot of context to the story for this to kind of play out. I'm not going to give it all to you, so I'll try and boil it down. But I'm challenged by my family. I love them to death, but I'm challenged by how my family makeup sort of sits. We all get along really well. However, mum, dad, and my younger brother all live under the one roof. Mum's not exactly the healthiest person she's got chronic back pain. Dad's retired. Things have been going this way for about a better part of 30 or 40 years with mum's injuries, and there's a whole bunch of things that are playing out at the moment inside that space, which needed to be addressed. It all came to head on the weekend. 6 months from seeing him, hadn't seen him in ages. 6 months since Christmas, and I head down there and realised that, long story short, that if I was there or I wasn't there, nothing would have changed. It wouldn't have made a difference. So me being there and spending that time with them was kind of inconsequential to the greater scheme of things. It was like there was no value there to be had from either side. So there was a few little instances there where, say, we had a lunch, and it was off the back of me having to help organise this lunch. And to the point where my mum spends a fair bit of time in bed due to a chronic illness, and she wasn't woken up to actually come and have lunch with us, and I hadn't seen her in 6 months. And it was one of those moments is that I know my mum pretty well, to the point where she gets really upset if you don't wake her up if she is asleep
Yep.
to come and hang out, even if she isn't feeling the
Yep.
best,
Yep.
because she wants to be there.
Yep.
And the fact that that never happened was just kind of a little trigger to say, like, you know, what the fuck's going on here? Is like, do we actually value each other as a family, or do we not? There's a whole bunch of things that have popped up over the last, say, 3-4 years, where you try and throw in and help your family to be the best versions of themselves,
Yep.
based on what they're asking and what they're saying and how they're behaving and all that sort of thing.
Correct,
You're having
yeah.
these conversations, and you want to be able to help and assist, but you start to realize the only way that they're going to ever help themselves is if it's their idea, not yours. And that's where you get that crossover between sort of being preachy and telling them what you think
Yep.
they need to hear, versus helping with what they actually want. And that was kind of the barrier I had between us, and I'd run out of options. I didn't know what I was going to do to solve this problem. So what I did was, because I understand the makeup of how they play, is that they typically are people that will walk away from that obstacle or that challenge, as opposed to address it.
Yep.
And it feels like that's kind of the whole, in a nutshell, what's been happening. So instead of sitting down one-on-one with them and having this conversation again and kind of saying the same thing with them having the opportunity to walk away, I instead recorded a video for them and just kind of put it all out on the table.
Yep.
From a point of love, and from a point of, this is a conversation starter, not a finisher. This is, hey, let's work on this together, but you need to understand what the foundation of this is and how
Yep.
it's causing, like how I feel about it
Yep.
in relation to how you guys show up. And the end of that conversation was, the way I'm going to play this now is that I want to understand what the love or our relationship means to you guys. And for me to understand that, I need to see how you're going to act and behave accordingly.
Yep.
So what I did was I removed myself from the scenario and said to them, I'm not going to show up anymore. I'm not going to come and visit you guys anymore off the back of this, because 6 months has gone by. I show up on your doorstep with plenty of time and notice. And if I was there or I wasn't there, I don't think your day would have changed or pivoted it in any way, shape or form. Little brother's still in his room. Dad's fucking out the back doing whatever he's doing.
Yep.
Mum's in bed, so I kind of don't have any interaction anyway. So it's time for you guys to get healthy, sort your mindsets out, and make family a priority. And the only way I can see that happening is if I remove one of the pieces that you say you love a lot, and see what you do when you don't have it. So it's not an ultimatum, because my door is fucking open all the time. I just want to see what it actually means to you.
Yep.
And it was to have that conversation. So now it's kind of like, well, okay, where do we go from here? It's like, cool, let's start asking questions. Let's get a bit curious about each other, and let's figure out what the fuck what's important to us. And that was a tough conversation to have, because I had to remove myself from my own family, where
Yeah.
like that was, I didn't want to do that, but I knew if I kept going that way, I was enabling them to keep being the same way that they kept showing up, and that hadn't served me. And I'd been doing it for 3 or 4 years. So if I can't hold them accountable to what they say that they want and is of value, the same way I would with my clients or my friends or anyone else I surround myself with, then it's a double standard.
100%.
And I think having those conversations, I don't know if it's the right thing to do, but I've tried so many other things. This was just the next logical step that I could
Yeah.
see. So it's like, will it work? Won't it work? Could. Might not too, though, but I'm happy. I'm not attached to the outcome. I don't care if it doesn't work. I know that if I do this and it plays out in such a way that they don't come to the party, which I highly doubt they won't,
Yep.
that I get my answer anyway. Putting time and energy into something that just drains me of it, and has taken up another week of my life thinking
Yep.
about and stressing on where I'm not getting things that are
Yep.
really important to me,
Yep.
like growing a business and working with guys who are fucking like keen to get shit going on.
Yep.
It's just not a fantastic use of my time, but it was a hard one to have, and I don't know if I've done it in the right way. I just know that if I didn't do it, shit could go.
You took action. That's
It was, yeah. That was so I don't know what that sounds like coming out. This is like you said, I only just kind of had this conversation last night, so it was a pretty interesting one. But I suppose the message is that there are conversations we need to have in our lives that we aren't having, because we're afraid of what will happen if we do. And that's the difference between being attached to having that person around, even if it's not the best scenario, and being committed to making it as good as it possibly can and adding value to each other, but also understanding that that person might kick back and they might not be interested.
Well, even one thing you did really well, just from listening to that, was like, you didn't get ready to get ready. You just fucking did it. You know, you said you don't know if it's the right answer. Nothing's guaranteed, or nothing really. There are a few things, but like when you're dealing with human beings, nothing's guaranteed. So it might not be the outcome that you're looking for. But for me, it's like so many of us blokes don't do anything because we're, like you said, we're fearful of what that outcome may look like, rather than going, right, well, the outcome's going to give me feedback. With that feedback, if I'm in control, I'll be able to mend the bridge, or, you know, navigate what those next steps are. But if I don't take that initial bit of action, I'm always going to be sitting there going, what if?
Yeah.
Like, how can I play this out? Or you'll, you know, carry that stress or that frustration with you over and over again for a long period of time, which eventually, you know, drains your energy, like you said. So I think making the decision, acting fast, you know, obviously.
It was an interesting bit. I suppose that's a good point about acting fast, is that it happened on the weekend, and I made a conscious decision to let it sit for 4 or 5 days before I said anything.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to come from a place, although I was emotional.
Yep.
I wanted to come from a place of just letting it settle before I acted or reacted.
Yep.
Because I wanted to make sure, because what I would have done in the past, and this is the reason things like this go for so long, is that you go from the weekend, and then I come home and remove myself from it, so out of sight, out of mind, and then things dissipate, and you go, whatever, I just won't worry about it. So I was conscious of that, knowing that this is a challenge, and that if I go back down there, the same shit's going to happen again and again and again in varying different ways.
Yep.
That if I don't do something different, nothing's ever going to change. So that was the control piece, like you said, is that I've got to change the way I act in this scenario, and let them know, that fucking shock to the system, that I'm not happy to keep playing like this. We need to change the terms and rules of engagement.
How do you feel now, having done that?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good. I'm still, it's in my head. It's like, I'm really interested to see how this is going to play out. And I had a chat to my brother straight after it last night. My other brother, who isn't part of that conversation. He's always been there in varying different ways. As far as I see it, if anyone's got a reason to not engage, it would be him, based on having 3 kids and the properties he's got and the houses and everything else that's fucking going on. But he still engages. He's still there. He still comes to me, as opposed to me always having to go there.
Yeah, right.
So I had that conversation with him, and he was really appreciative of the fact that we can actually have conversations like this at all.
Yep.
Which was really interesting to hear. Like, he's 33, I'm 36.
Yep.
And we're having these conversations almost for the first time in a lot of ways.
Yep.
But now he's at that age where he's starting to see, fuck, there's more to life than just, I show up, I do my job, I have the kids, I take them to school. You just go back and forth and just kind of this self-fulfilling prophecy of what we all think. It's like, but do you actually get any enjoyment or value, or like, how are you enriching the people, your life, and the people that you come across life each and every day?
Yeah.
And if you're not, and you aren't, isn't the logical question to ask, why not? And then if you're not, what would?
Fucking spot on.
Because, like, and this is to put the cherry on the cake for it all. The day before I made that call, my friend, good mate of mine, his wife, sent my wife a message to say that she's got a crazy, like, aggressive blood cancer, and she's at the better part of, I don't think she's quite 40 yet. She's had a kid. She's got a 2-year-old kid. And you look at that side of it and how quickly shit can go away.
Oh, bro.
and you don't want to throw him for your family because you're starting to, I don't know if it's a taking for granted thing, or you don't want to have that tough conversation with someone because you're afraid of what's going to happen. It's like, I can guarantee you're going to be far more pissed off and far more like regret and resentment and kicking yourself and all these sorts of things for the things that you hadn't said if shit goes pear-shaped, which can quite easily happen as soon as you leave your front door. Beforehand, it's like, it came out of the blue. There was like 3 things in the space of about 6 hours. There was that. Had another friend reach out to us and say their daughter's got type 1 diabetes, and then Eliza, who we both know, fucking stacked it at CrossFit and bashed a chin open doing a run at CrossFit. There's like 3 things in that quick succession. I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
And that Chumpy Pullen
Yep.
died
Yeah.
spearfishing.
On
I'm like,
Wednesday.
that all happened in that little window, and I was like,
So much.
that kind of brings you back to like your mortality, right?
It's man, I had a call with a lad last night, country fella, really tough guy, and he's like, mate, like, something's just changing me. He's like, and I've got a son, and he just recently had a daughter. He's like, I feel a love for my daughter that I don't even feel for my wife or my son. And he's like, you know, he's like, I've gone soft, mate. I'll just be sitting there with a backpack on, and I'll start tearing up. So I can't have that. I'm like, why not? Mate, I think, to me, I'm like, most people, that's, in my opinion, that's being fucking present, man. Like, the fact that you can sit there and take that in and just look at your daughter and go, you know, what, I don't know what was going through his mind, but it's, you know, I made that, or that's just incredible that you tear up and you feel emotionally connected, I think is phenomenal. And that's what life is, in my opinion, it's about.
Yeah.
Like those moments. Imagine if we walked through every moment in our day thinking, like, even sitting next to you and say, this is fucking cool. The fact that we can do this right now, fucking very cool.
Oh.
Imagine if we went through every moment of our life just going, I really appreciate this. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for that. Just look at everything like you're a kid for the first time, where it's like mouth open, going, wow. Like,
Yeah.
But we don't. We for whatever reason, we're always thinking about the next thing, but it brings you back to, like you were saying, it's like, what is life about? And it can be taken away from you so quickly. You know, I got to wrap up in a minute because I got to get back to function well.
All good.
But we'll keep going for a bit longer.
Yeah, we're going to sort out.
Yeah. I just ruined the flow, didn't I?
No, it's weird because I'm sort of, what would you say, enemy number 1 in my own mind for taking shit for granted.
Mate, I'm with you
'Cause,
there.
like, I kind of took my family for granted by not saying something and allowing certain things to just be done and become normal. And by not saying something, I'm just like, it's my responsibility. It's not their responsibility. It's my responsibility to take action on that. It's now up to them to then respond to that. If they don't, that's okay. Then I've got a responsibility on then how I proceed from that point. So it's balls in my court. It's that whole taking shit for granted and just realizing that it doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what's going on. It's like, you need to be able to figure out what is important and what isn't important, because you could be spending your life on something that just doesn't fucking matter, and then all of a sudden something that you took for granted and thought was always going to be there is just not anymore, and you spend all your time over here working for somebody that you don't
Despise,
like, in a job you fucking hate, which has your family resenting you because you're never at home and all they want is for you to be home, but you're under the guise of, I'm doing this for you.
Yeah. Fuck, there's another trap.
And that's I'm thinking of a couple of different people in that mutual acquaintance. I'm pretty sure you understand what I'm talking about there. But yeah, it's super interesting, dude. But that's a fucking another podcast. That.
Maxie, where can we find you?
Ooh, I still haven't got the website up. I'm working on it. But you can find me at the Next Level Leader Project Facebook group. If you type in that, that's probably the best place to get me.
How funny is it trying to tell people Facebook groups? Because I tell people to find the Facebook group, but then they like the page. I'm like, no. Like, go to the Facebook group.
No, it's easy. Just don't have a page.
Well,
I don't have one of those either.
I should delete my page then, because people get confused.
No, keep it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, yeah, That's all right. We'll get them to figure it
Segue,
out.
yeah.
There'll be a few ways. We can stick it on the podcast notes.
Yeah, look on your phone right now. Scroll down.
What about you, brother? Where are they getting you at?
The Man That Can Project. I nearly just forgot. Yeah, the Man That Can Project Facebook group, but also the Instagram. I love the gram. It's my jam.
Yeah,
The gram is my jam.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot from you.
It's fucking so fun.
I don't know how you fucking put out the content you do. I'm like, fucking, how does Instagram work again? I need to get my rep up so I can get the link happening.
Oh yeah, the old swipe up.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm sorry we had to cut this one short because it's fucking always fun chatting with you.
Well done, legend. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Man That Can Project podcast. My name is Lockie Stewart, and I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful. If you did, please take a moment to rate and review the Man That Can Project on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with our newest episodes. We'll see you again next time.